In today's video, why you can't break through your fat loss threshold. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com, and today I'm going to break down the idea of why we get stuck at these certain places in our fat loss journey and we just can't seem to break through them. And today's question comes from right here on my Instagram direct message. So guys, go to my Instagram. I love answering questions. I love to help you guys reach your goals. And if you enjoyed this type of content from a coach who's been doing this for more than a decade and who continues to provide help, hit subscribe because that's really what makes me happy. Now let's talk about the question and then we're going to break it down. I'm interested in your summer transformation challenge. The biggest roadblock is that I have completely broken relationship with carbs. Since 2002, I've been doing some form of low carb keto with intermittent fasting thrown in at times. Every time I go off the rails and start eating more carbs, I end up putting on weight. I'm not tremendously overweight at 5'6", 153 pounds. This seems to be the threshold I really can't get past. My calories are pretty low, as I'm not able to keep them low to not gain weight, probably 1,000 to 1,200, a little more relaxed on the weekends. There's a lot to break down here, guys, but first things first, the transformation challenge, our next one is already open, okay? It's called the Summer Sculpt, and we're including nutrition plans, training plans. It's open worldwide, and multiple winners that we've had when we're giving away this $25,000 cash prize have been international. So if you look here at Drea, who just won, and you look here at Stephanie, who took second, and I'm about to interview our male winners in the very near future. Go ahead and join, get in the private group, and get started with your transformation. Kicks off in July. So if you're looking to do something like this, let's talk about what I preach. What is keto? Keto is an approach to dieting where, for the most part, you completely avoid carbohydrates. Yes, you are able to have a very small amount of carbohydrates, but it is a fat-dominant diet. And a lot of people will hear this and they'll think, ketogenic diets, you burn more fat. Well, you also store more fat. Well, why is that? Well, that's because you're taking in more fat. So really what determines fat loss is not how much fat you burn, it is how much body fat you store in a 24-hour window. And with keto, you can very easily overshoot your calories and store body fat because fat is actually stored easier than carbohydrates. So why are carbohydrates so demonized? Because this made up model of body fat gain that includes insulin has been purported. Well, guess what? The real problem is not insulin. Insulin is an anabolic agent, okay? It allows our body to build muscle. It allows our body to grow. And yes, it does transport nutrients around the body, but it is neutral. It does not matter if it's transporting it to muscle or fat, okay? A lot of people like to think of this as the only way that we can store body fat. That's false. You can actually store body fat by eating nutritional fat. In fact, it's much easier. So what happens over those 24 hours that you're eating a ketogenic diet? Well, if you're taking in less carbohydrates and you're actually able to control your calories, great. You're going to have the benefit of that. However, ketogenic diets are a complete different lifestyle, okay? Carb-centric dieting, where we actually understand the role protein, carbs, and fats play, and allows us to perform better and be more consistent. Why? Because carbohydrates are everywhere. Guys, it would be nearly impossible for me to avoid carbohydrates. And in fact, even if it was possible, I wouldn't want to do it. Why? Because carbohydrates are very beneficial when we understand them, okay? I regularly have between 300 and 500 grams of carbohydrates a day, and I'm less than 10% body fat. That is not some trick that I'm pulling. I am a lifetime natural bodybuilder. I'm just a guy that understands nutrition, and that's why I'm here to help you. You also mentioned fasting. What does fasting do? Fasting creates a set of rules around which we only eat at certain times of the day. There's many versions of this, but there is no magic behind it. There is no magic that fasting provides any better results than merely restricting calories. What it does do is change our brain, okay? Your brain, the psychology of eating is usually the biggest problem. And when you say, okay, I'll stop eating at 5 o'clock and I won't eat until the next morning or whatever your rules for fasting are, sometimes it's alternate day fasting, sometimes it's 24-hour fasting, whatever it is, those rules allow you to change your behaviors. You can simply get the same benefit, the same fat loss, and potentially avoid what's happening to you. Because what happens when you take an approach to dieting that doesn't fit your lifestyle? You put yourself in a position where you have to fast. Well, what if you're in a situation where you can't fast or your rules have changed? Or what if you're in a situation where you can't stick to a ketogenic diet because the foods that are available? Well, you break the fast, you break the keto diet, and all of a sudden Next thing you know, you're binge eating, is exactly what you're described. And I've seen this happen and play out time and time again with many approaches to diet. In fact, if you're on any diet that has a name, you're probably setting yourself up for failure. What you need to do is find an approach to nutrition that allows you to be flexible, okay? Flexible dieting is a philosophy around nutrition where we just pay attention to our daily macronutrient goals, protein, carbs, fats. You can do fasting, you can do keto, you can be a vegan, you can take any approach. You can even do carnivore or any of these other diets that are really trendy at times, okay? Trendy diets comes and go. Flexible dieting does not come and go. You're already all doing it, you just don't realize it, okay? Now, by being accountable to your protein, carbs, and fats, you can enjoy some carbs. Flexibility does not also just mean within a daily 24-hour window we're flexible, but there might be some days where, you know what, I'm gonna eat a little more. And guess what I can do the next day? Eat a little bit less. There's not this on-off binary switch. There's also no demonizing of foods. Any carbohydrate is good, okay guys? I can eat any carbohydrate source I want as long as I am paying attention to my overall numbers for the day. And if you don't even know where to start with this, guys, I've built a free calculator for you guys, and I can help you set up fat loss goals, muscle building goals, extreme fat loss. I'll put it here on the screen for you guys. You plug in some information, it'll calculate your total daily energy expenditure. You go down to the bottom portion, and then it will help you calculate your new macronutrients based on your goals. Now, you did tell me that your calories are 1,200 to 1,000, which is well below my threshold for worrying about someone's calories. What is that threshold? 10 times your body weight in calories. Okay, so you said you're about 150, 156 pounds. So around 1,500 calories is where I would be worried for someone to be kind of compromising their metabolic set point, their metabolic positioning. They're under consuming. They're setting themselves up for fatigue, probably extreme hunger, and perhaps binge eating. So this is where intermittent fasting and ketogenic diet have left you. They've put you in a position where perhaps your metabolism is not what it should be. In this situation, I would typically say, okay, how important is fat loss to you? Okay, if you're my client, our company, Pro Physique, which I'll link below if you're looking for coaching, but if that's what we do, we sit down and we have a consult with you, okay? And ultimately, as coaches who are educated to have a lot of experience, our goals are to help you reach your goals. And sometimes we have to look at your situation, whether it be your goals, your calories, your expectations, and decide if they're realistic. Should someone who's only eating 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day and wants to lose body fat and weighs 156 pounds be entering into a fat loss phase? Well, my goal as a coach is to decide how important fat loss is to you and what are the reasons. So what I would typically do in your situation is go, okay, we can try some fat loss. We cannot lower your calories, but we can try being consistent and including what I would call 2 to 3 refeed days a week where we bring your calories up to say 1,500 and allow the body to kind of re-energize, restore some glycogen. A lot of those calories are going to come from carbohydrates. It's going to improve your performance, your sleep, your recovery, perhaps even get a benefit to hormones. And when you get a benefit to sleep, hormones, and recovery, what happens? You actually burn more calories, okay? So you can actually eat more and burn more calories and potentially even benefit in terms of weight loss. I'm also a big proponent of don't just eat less, move more, okay? The equation for a caloric deficit has 2 components, the energy we take in and the energy we burn, okay? So if you can't really afford to eat less, you can afford to move more, okay? A lot of times it just comes down to moving more. Now, a lot of us hate the dreaded cardio word, but more calories throughout the day are burned through what's called non-exercise activity. If you look at this graph right here, you'll see if you can make that NEAT score go up, then just by being more active, you can burn more calories throughout the day. So you can look at the 2 sides of the equation. Yes, you can do some intentional cardio, or you can also just get involved in some activities that require you to be more active throughout the day. Most of us are pretty sedentary. When we think back to when we were our leanest or had our least amount of body fat, I think back to my, high school years when I basically didn't sit still. I could not eat enough food to keep up with my supposedly great metabolism, but I think I was just really, really an active person. As we have kids, run businesses, get more responsibilities, most of us move less, and this is why you guys have seen me do my walking video. If you haven't seen this video right here, go here to this video next where I walked every day for 1 hour. The results were simply amazing. Committing to walking 1 hour a day is not easy, but luckily I had a treadmill at my house. But when you start to look at this big picture and where you're at, we can decide, is fat loss acceptable for us? Can we put ourselves in a position to lose some more body fat? And then once we reach that, bring calories back up through the process of either a diet break or reverse dieting. Now, if we realize, if I'm your coach and I realize, okay, we've tried this, we've adjusted your calories, we've adjusted your activity and your cardio, and we're still not losing body fat, what is the next step? Well, the next step is to gradually walk your calories up, kind of restore metabolic function, really place an emphasis on performance and recovery and weight maintenance, right? We want to keep your weight at the same place while we get the calories up. How do we do that? Guys, I've done a lot of videos on reverse dieting on a case-by-case basis. I'll simply say we try to add about 50 to 100 calories a week. So let's say that you're currently at 1,200 calories. For the next week, every day we would hit 1,300. Assuming everything stays stable, the following week we would bump that up to 1,400 or maybe 1,350, right? And through this, you're actually going to allow your body to increase the amount of food that it's taking in, because you're well below the amount of calories you should be typically taking in to maintain your weight. But this is what happens when you overdo ketogenic dieting, restrictive approaches like fasting, and you don't actually end up being accountable. You just try to lose weight through basically putting your body into a position where it's under consuming, right? So when your calories are that low, you start to compromise your hormones, right? Why? Well, because your hormones are a product of the calories that you take in. You also can start to compromise your daily activity. Why? Because through taking in so few calories, you have less energy. Guys, it's not about a one-way approach for every single person. Okay, we have to find what works. And that's why we love our transformation challenge, because it's not a weight loss challenge, guys. It's not a rapid fat loss challenge. It's a transform your life. We are here as coaches in the private group to provide you. Now, we do provide you with nutrition plans and training plans and all of that, but the community support that is created through the 30 coaches here at Pro Physique, along with the thousands of people that enter, I promise you, that energy is palpable. And if you haven't heard it, the interview where I have had the last two people on, especially Drea's, she talks about the power of that community. Even though she wasn't in there typing every day, she was feeding off of that energy. And that's what we're here to do for you guys. So hopefully you guys join our summer sculpt. And I will talk to you tomorrow.